Welcome everyone to Enlightened World Network. I'm your host, Deb Goldberg, and we have a divine relationship recovery show for you today. I'm so excited to have Niobe Weaver here with me. Niobe, say hi.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So nice to be here with you, Deb.
I'm grateful to have you here too. You were on Angel Heart Radio with me last week and it was wonderful. And so today we're going to have more of a discussion, but let me tell you a little bit about Niobe first. Niobe is an emotional healer, spiritual midwife, and teacher. She works with her voice and sound in her healing work. She is a channel for the light language and the divine. Her voice has an ethereal healing quality that shifts and changes the energy of her clients. Niobe has been healing and changing lives for over 25 years. She is a speaker, songwriter, recording artist, and author. Niobe contributed her music and voice to award-winning educational video, Song of the Salish Sea, and has opened for authors Deepak, Chopra, and Cohen. And that is such a beautiful opportunity that you had to do that. And I have witnessed your beautiful voice and sound healing, and it's lovely.
Thank you. Thank you.
About what is sound healing, what you do, before we get into our topic.
Oh, absolutely. Well, sound healing for me came with my voice. So that's, and I was a singer way back then, but it actually started in my massage therapy and my massage sessions with my clients. And this was part of a spiritual after an energy session, one energy session, and everything started to change. So it started in with my clients in a massage, and the last 15 minutes, every last minutes, I'm getting this tickle in my throat, and I'm like, all right, finally, because understanding and knowing the chakra system and energy, I had a client and I said, do you mind if I try something? And she said, no, go right ahead. And I started making tones, and I started making tones that I could hear, and I would tone in different parts and places of her body, in her chakras, and also the light language had come. And she says, I felt like I was lifted up off the table. And that's where it started. It started from there.
Such a story. It is amazing of what people's awakening stories of their gifts and awakening to consciousness. It is so beautiful to hear your story and how this all came together for you. And so it's important, I think, to let other people know that they too are part of a process of unfolding, and that their gifts are all inside and they will come out when it's the right time.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Absolutely. We are all gifted. There is a part, we are that spiritual being. We are a soul having that human experience. And every one of us has a form of a gift. Clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience. I knew a wonderful massage therapist. For him, as he put it, he could smell when spirit was present. It was really amazing, Deb. I was like, really? He goes, yeah. He says, I can, there is this perfume that comes into my nose whenever spirit is present.
That is amazing.
So it's so, you've got it. We've all got it, and there's all different ways, and from subtle to big and bang and everything in between. We are all really true gifted children of the divine, of creation.
We certainly are. And then this leads into our topic tonight called Living in Your Highest Good.
Okay.
So, if you're new to Enlightened World and to Divine Relationship Recovery, God gives me a topic each week. And then I have a guest host, and we discuss the talking points that have been given to me. as a way to get out God's message of how he wants you to understand your life. And so each week it's a little different. And so this week is on living in your highest good. So the first talking point he gave me is most people do not realize that they are always living in their highest good, but they are, since they are following or living out the plan or story that was created for them. And I thought, well, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
That you have a planned, your life is planned and been created for you, and that it unfolds as you go along. And so that because you're following a plan, a divine plan for your life, it's already in your highest good.
And I'm sure somebody right now is going, are you kidding me? No way. Are you kidding me? My life, the way my life has been, or the way my life is right now, are you kidding me that this is in my highest good? But the answer is yes, it is. Would we know if we didn't have the comparison of going through our challenges in our life journey, our life story, would we know what joy and happiness or ecstasy is?
You wouldn't have anything to compare it to.
Absolutely, we wouldn't have anything to compare it to. And so we can look at it that way. But Deb, I think God's asking you to really to go deeper about the thing of the fact that everything in your life has a divine plan. From literally when you were conceived and your birth, all the way on.
Yes, we can let go of there's some mistake, or this shouldn't be happening, or why did this happen? This can't be a divine plan, when really we don't understand why it's happening. The case in point, the virus, right?
Right.
I don't know why these things happen or unfold the way that they do, but everything is for our highest good. And that takes a lot of trust.
Very much so. Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd also like to address what some people may be thinking right now is, well, what about souls? What about when you're born into, say, a really dysfunctional, violent family, abusive family in all forms of abuse? How can you say that, because of children and the abuse that is put upon them, that is, a divine plan? I like to say it was, I come back to Neil Donald Walsh's story of the little soul in the sun. And if I may share that, Deb, about real quickly about the little soul in the sun. And we're all souls that have a time that we come down here. And we're all actually angels in our own form, and when we're in soul. And so in the story, God has all the little souls that are standing around because they're getting ready to have their assignment to come down to earth. And God says, who wants to be forgiveness? Silence. Nobody wants to be forgiveness. One little soul says, I'll be forgiveness. And God said, are you sure about that? And little said, yes, I'll be forgiveness. And then so God said, but you need to have another soul with you that's going to help teach you and help you be forgiveness. So these two little souls went off on their own, and they're shining bright lights. And the little soul that's going to be forgiveness is so excited. And here this other little soul said, okay, I'm going to be down there with you. I'm going to go down there with you. And said, but I have to put this on. And in the drawing, this shows the little soul that's going to be cause forgiveness, to learn forgiveness, is putting on a little dark shadow, putting on a dark cloak with a hood. And this little soul says, when I put this on, I will forget who I am. And she said, will you promise me not to forget who I am? And the little soul that said, I will be forgiveness, says, I will not forget who you are. So all the things from the minor hurts and wounds to the gravity of what we have witnessed on this planet, of how could that soul be somebody that is signed up for this? Well, first remember, can you recall your soul is eternal? Eternal, meaning this isn't the first time around. Think about that. It's not the first time around in body. And if it's not the first time around in body, then when you're looking at, like I said, from the small to the atrocities that have happened that humans do to each other, is it about the story of the soul saying, I will learn to be forgiveness? Is it all about learning? Is it all about expansion?
It's such a beautiful story. I haven't heard that one before. It's lovely. Thank you for sharing it.
Oh, it's so wonderful, and it's it was, I think, in the first or second Conversations with God, but it's also, you're getting ready to have a new grandchild, and you already have grandbabies. It is a really sweet, it's a big book, okay. And it's not great, and it is so beautifully illustrated. So yeah, it's The Little Soul in the Sun.
Okay, I'm going to have to check that out.
I'll check that out.
And you know, what's interesting is you sharing that kind of folds right into what is being said next. He said, everyone goes through changes just like the seasons. People describe these as highs and lows in their life. However, I can assure you that everything is in your highest good, whether you perceive it that way or not. So that fell right into what you were saying. And so the way that I look at that is that we don't always have this really expansive view of what is going on in our life or outside in the world, that it's pretty narrow at times. And as this little soul is going to be forgiveness, the job is really remembering who you are, that you're remembering that you are God recreated for this experience. And the whole journey is about remembering, and you keep expanding back into your divine nature. So you're not turning into something that you're not, you're remembering and turning back into your more expansive self. You're being transformed back into yourself, because we've done such a good job at building a faulty self, because we all put on that costume that you talked about.
Yeah. And
we forgot, and we got hurt, and many of us have had traumatic upbringings, and it doesn't make sense. But what I have found is, you know, you have to go inside to hear God's explanation of what you're seeing and experiencing in your life, and let it be explained to you divinely, versus you trying to figure it out with your own mind.
Yes. Yeah, to have it revealed, reveal it to you. Like I said, because our own mind many times is not connected to that heart center where our soul resides. And so the mind works hard and wants to grasp and wants to hang on to it. And what you were saying, just what, it's a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And it's the mind actually is the place that wants to make the dance of not forgiving. The mind is the one that says, wants to be obstinate, it wants to be stubborn, and it wants to hang on. It wants to hang on to what was, or the hurts, or, and sometimes it isn't even maybe about how we've been treated bad or how we've been hurt. Maybe it's just, I want to stay this way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable right here. Everything's good. I don't challenge me. No, I'm good. I don't want to grow. No. I don't remember. I'm good. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I have a friend, Lynetta Willis. She calls it stable misery.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
She calls it stable misery. It's being back in that comfort zone of stable misery. And you're so right. You know, our mind just wants to keep creating these stories of victim consciousness. And if we can look at that, that's a false, you could call it ego consciousness, but it's a false message. It's not real, it's not true. But we keep feeding into it, thinking that it is true. But the truth is that you're always divine nature, and you are in your highest good and perfect at all times. But we drift off into this place. You like walked into another room and completely forgot where you are. I have another friend, Marietta. She says you walked into another dementia.
What did I walk in here for?
Yeah, but why did I come in here? And oh my God, the story in this room is just a horror story.
It's time to go. I'm turning around. No. Oh my, and for our highest good, and that's, when we talk about spiritual awakening, it can be really profound, and that's what we think it's supposed to be. But what if we're having little mini ones? What if we're having little mini awakenings that when we're being asked, that it's when it's being said, we come to that place of like going, I'm being stretched and asked to look at this as this is for my highest good. That conversation, as that inner conversation starts to move back and forth, and you're being asked, it's like, oh, and is it a little mini spiritual awakening when we have that? It's that aha, it's like, yeah, this is for my best good. Or that was for my highest good. What would have happened, what could have been had I not made that choice and that decision that was for the better.
Mm-hmm. Right? It would completely change your life path. I look at my past and say, well, everything that I've experienced has led me to this place right here, right now. And had I not gone through those things, that I wouldn't be able to be sitting here and share what I've learned.
Yes.
And so then it becomes a blessing. You may not like everything that you go through. It doesn't mean you have to love everything. You may not like it, but it's really looking at it and saying, wow, how can I reframe this experience and look at it that it is part of this wonderful plan that was made for me by myself, with God as one, and that it is in your highest good. So going back and saying, oh, that shouldn't have happened, and we get stuck in that place, and that creates a lot of grief and anger inside of us because we think it should be different than what it already is.
Yeah. And you said a word, a really, powerful word. It's called choice. We have free will. We're the ones that make the choices. And then it's like there's no point in beating up on yourself if it's a choice that didn't turn out the way it was supposed to be, or took you, it's like going, God, it took me down a really horrible path. What did you learn in that really horrible path though? What did you learn when you went down the golden, yellow brick road and you found the Emerald City? Well, it's from the Emerald City to, the witch's house, or Mordor, out of the Hobbit. So it's in between. And then that's that other awakening there of it's my choice.
Right. And I look at choice as more of perception. So you're making choices to take action and do things, but it really is a perception issue. And what I've learned is like anytime you're not in peace, is that you're viewing something as it's a misconception of how you're viewing it, that it's got some kind of fear attached to it. And so our choice is in our perception. How do I want to view this? And we get challenged every single day on our perception of how am I going to perceive what I'm seeing, what I'm going through, what I'm hearing, even within my own mind. When I started understanding that there's another voice there, one that I'm not supposed to really listen to or take to heart.
Right.
And I really was paying attention to how much that voice was feeding me. And one of my guides is John the Baptist, and he said, and I would say, can you just make this stop? Because I feel like I'm getting a barrage of negative thinking, and I don't want that. And he said, well, isn't this fun? Isn't this a fun way to learn? And I said, I haven't gotten there yet. I don't know that I think that it's fun, but he gave me a completely different view of how can I look at this? How can I look at it and laugh at it, not take it seriously, and not give it any energy, and look at it as it's a teacher that I need to keep correcting and coming back home. I need to keep shifting to go back home and stay in divine truth.
Yeah. Yes. And not beat ourselves up along the way. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that it's fun. It's supposed to be fun. And I don't know if I shared this other perspective with you. I thought, okay, this is like going into a fun house and seeing all these distorted mirrors. And because everything outside of us is a mirror of consciousness of your internal mind. So you can look at some of those mirrors and go, oh my God, that's so weird and so scary. I don't even want to look at it, right? This is freaking me out. Or you could look at that mirror and go, oh my God, that's so funny. It's funny, right? And so that's kind of like, can we take that way of visualizing some of these things that we see and not take it so seriously? Right. Not everything has to be taken so seriously and dramatically.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's when we look at that way, we take the charge off of it. We take that energetic charge off of it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I had something recently that asked me to rise above and let be. I have a friend of mine that just, we were talking about this incident that occurred. And it's sometimes, it isn't about letting it go, it's let it be. Mm-hmm. And because, yeah, I had a challenge recently, and it was like, okay, how am I going to look at this? Because it triggered me, you know, I was hurt. I was, you know, it was hurtful. It was upsetting. And I mean, and I took some time. I mean, I just didn't rise above it right away. I mean, it took some days. It took a couple of weeks of really working with it inside to where I could just let it be. It doesn't have the charge in me anymore now. I could even talk about it and it's not there. The energetic charge on it isn't there anymore. But it took some time to get there, because my question, as I went into question about it, is like, if I engage in this, is this really for my highest good? Why do I want to engage in a response? What would it really suit me? What would it really just do? And so then I came to that place of no response is the response to do. And it's for my highest good of both parties concerned. So, yeah.
Yes. Well, what I found out is that I'm always asking to be taken higher and help me see this from a higher place, because at times I you know, like you, I get triggered, and I know that I'm not seeing it from a higher place, and I have to ask so I can be shown what is the place that you want me to see this from. Right. What's the correction? And you know, the more that you are in the present moment and awake and clear, that correction comes up pretty quickly. Like, I'll have a thought, a negative thought, and right behind it, I'll hear God talking to me and say, this is the way you see it. Or I just get shown it in my mind. I just get an understanding that this is where I want you to view this from. And it's so important to know that that guide is always inside of you, helping you see how to see something, how to navigate, how to guide you through every moment of your day, if you allow it.
If you allow it.
And that in itself is a learning how to master your internal world to do that, because it is so easy to just disregard it. And I know I've heard things before too, inside a direction, and I was like, I don't feel like doing that. And I'm making a choice, right?
Yeah.
I'm making a choice. Or I'm being told, this is what I want you to do, or this is what I want you to have for breakfast, or whatever the case might be. So the more you're in tune with that, you really start to understand how guided you are always. I mean, some of the other shows that I've done, God talks about, I am you. I am living, co-creating as you, with you, for this experience. I'm not, you are not separate from me. We are doing this experience together.
Together, yes.
As one.
As one, yeah. It's, and that listening, getting deeper into that relationship of listening, life becomes magical. Of what shows up, what doesn't show up. And when you're talking about this, Deb, it makes me think of I have a friend who literally lives so much by intuition. Literally, what do you want me to wear today? What do you want me to wear today? What should I wear today? Where should I go? And it actually saved her life one night. She lives out, I mean, she's an incredible forest goddess woman. And I think she's writing her book because she is so comfortable out in the forest and just has learned so much about that listening and that intuition. And she wrote recently about that she didn't know why, but she woke up one morning and God told her to wear this big clasp in the back of her hair, big metal clasp that had a bunch of, it had cats on it, and it was kind of gold and shiny. And God said, and put your rain boots on. And it's like, and it was summertime. It's not rain boot time. Are you crazy? So she did it anyway. And so she has a piece of property. And so she has a main house, and then she has a little art studio and a little medicine studio that she was going to spend the night in. And she was on the phone with her husband, but her son that was out of the country. And so she was so excited about listening to him. But then she didn't bring her charger. So it was about to die. So she goes, I got to go back to the house. And she realizes that she thought she was so wasn't conscious of being out, and it was getting dark. So to go from her little place up to the main house. So she was so into her talking to her son. And then as she's getting close to the house, there was some area on, and then she realized there was this, she had startled a cougar. She'd startled a cougar, and she's on the, oh, holy crap, I just startled a cougar. And she had that message from God, walk, don't run, just walk. And she knows enough about that. So as she walked, those rainbows went flop, 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 made this noise. And then that shiny clasp on the back of her hair, well, big cats will come from behind and get their prey from behind on the neck. So that's the moral of the story of listening to the intuition, is those rain boots really were startling, and that clasp at the back of her neck. And it was, because her story was about listening to guidance when you're being out in the woods. And so it fits into this, listening to that guidance every day, every moment, and it can actually save your life.
Oh, sure. I agree.
Yeah.
So now that leads into the next talking point. The next one is, most people do not understand the mystery of life. I don't think anybody understands the mystery of life. My creation is always held in divine order with unconditional love, protection, and the constancy of balance through joy. Therefore, you are always in the highest good at all times. So your story represents that you are always being guided, protected. First of all, you're protected because you're divine nature. And that's really all that you are. And having this experience. So to understand, as you keep going inside and deepening your relationship with God, or whatever you call divine love, and deepening it enough to understand that your life is always protected, even though these things happen, these odd things happen.
And go ahead.
Yeah, you talked about it's eternal life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's eternal life, and it's and then it comes right back to that thing of thinking that, well, we've got to be the ones, but this is what makes me feel protected. It needs to be this way. It needs to be, and we got that checklist. All right, God, this is the way it's supposed to be, right? But I think I love these talking points that God has brought to you today, Deb, because it's just God asking you to come into that trust and deepening that relationship of that voice inside, that intuition, that feeling, that that thought that comes up in your mind, a lot of times is given to you in your mind of, it's maybe you don't need to turn right. Go straight.
Mm-hmm. And how magnificent is that you don't really have to think about a whole lot. You can just be guided and say, well, I don't know which is the best way. What is the best thing? And I don't have to worry about it because something will guide me inside. And everybody has this, like we started out talking at the beginning of the show. Everybody has the ability, whether you hear it auditorily, and it could sound like your own voice. I just happen to hear God as a male voice, and I hear him also as my own voice, and I also hear my heart being spoken to. So it just, and it's getting interpreted, so I know what I'm being spoken to in my heart. And every single person has the ability to hear because you're not separate. And that's what causes all the pain in this world anyway, is believing that you're separate from this loving creator who is the source of your life and the source of everything that you experience, that you even have life.
Absolutely. And in being one with that source, when you use the word creating, creation, creating, meaning, manifesting, being able to have that conversation of I need, or I desire, or, and if it's in for your highest good, it will show up.
Always.
Always.
It unfolds exactly what you need in every moment. And you get to the point, so at times I'll be like, okay, God typically gives me my talking points and topic on Monday for Wednesday. And then I'll get this little thought now and then like, oh, you sort of like, what happens if God doesn't show up? It's really funny. It's an ego thought, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, God always shows up. I can count on him to give me what he wants me to do for that day. How I'm supposed to serve. But there's a part of you that doesn't like letting go of the control, and it wants to believe that it is making your life happen when it's not. And it's so easy to get wrapped up and caught in that. And I've been in and out of it and in and out of it. And I get reminded constantly that I'm not doing anything. I just believe I'm doing something at the moment.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I like to say that I'm being a brat.
Mm-hmm.
I was being a brat and I didn't listen. And because I've been able to see times that I consciously didn't trust.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't trust, like you said, is God going to show up to give me the talking points? Yes. And, and it's like when I've gone into sessions and all, it's like, okay, am I really going to be able to hear or see? And it's like, of course you are. But then there's things that God's asked me to do, and I've been a brat, and not done it, or been obstinate about it until, all right, fine. It's like when you're 5 and you're being told, okay, come in out of the rain. It's right. It's time to come in. No, yes, it is. And trust is, the more you trust, the easier it gets. And there is such a beauty and peace that flows in your life.
Sure does, because you know that you feel in the flow rather than resisting being controlled. Because when you're saying you've been a brat at times, I could call myself that too, because I'll just choose not to listen. something else. And I have experienced things where I tell this story that I pulled up in front of the airport if it was in Miami or Fort Lauderdale, I don't remember, to drop my husband off at the airport. And those airports are so crowded and you can't stay out front. It's like you drop people off or pick them up and you go. And there's a policeman or something there that is saying, you have to move along. This is too crowded here. You can't stay here. And I had about almost a 2-hour ride back. And I thought, gee, I really should probably go to the bathroom, because I just drove 2 hours there. And then I was kind of hungry. And so I pulled my car up a little bit. And it was so funny because the night before, I kept having these images. And it was a policeman, and he kept having his hand out like, stop, right? And it wouldn't stop. It was like I kept having this image. I'm like, what is going on here? Well, this is a little me. This is an aspect of myself, maybe 5. Like, I'm invisible and you can't see me, and I could do whatever I want. So I pulled my car up, right, a little further out of the way, and I thought, I'm gonna run in and go to the bathroom. And yeah, at the same time, there's a policeman standing there, and I get out of my car, and I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and I just keep walking inside. It's like, I'm looking at you, but you can't see me, you know, like a cloak on, right? I cracked myself. When I really understood what I was doing, it was hilarious. And so I go to the bathroom, and as I realized that right by the door is Starbucks. And I said, oh, I could really use some breakfast. But I didn't take my purse in with me, right? So I walked back out to my car, and I get my purse, and I shut the door, and I'm looking at the policeman, and he's looking at me. He's looking at me like, what are you doing, lady? What? I'm watching you, but what are you doing? Like, he's probably laughing his head off inside. And I go inside, and I'm standing at Starbucks, and nobody else is there. So I ordered something, and then I realized, oh my God, like, I probably shouldn't be doing this right now, should I? Like, this isn't right. And he said, well, keep doing what you're doing. Go get your food. And I got my food, and I go back out to the car, and I realize I start to take off, and I'm like, oh, okay, that worked out. But then I realized it was a ticket on the front of my window. So right? And I was like, oh my God, I wasn't invisible. You know, like, there's still this 5-year-old inside. It was so funny. But God is like, oh, you're so cute. You're so cute watching you. And this is the way God feels about you when you think you're being a brat. He's watching you, and he thinks you're the most adorable thing, right? This is what God thinks. That's his perception of you. It's like, right. So funny. It's so cute. Oh, it was such an experience of myself, an aspect of me that was just so loud and clear at the time. And I'm like, okay, I need to really integrate this part of myself.
Well, that's so funny. You're standing at Starbucks and you go, well, I probably shouldn't be doing this, huh, God? Oh, go ahead and get your food. Just keep on. It's like,
it was like, have the experience. You're telling yourself you're doing something wrong. All of a sudden, you started to feel some guilt. Like, it's not in my integrity. I really should not be sitting outside because that's a no-no, you know. And the whole thing, the way it just went out. I looked at the ticket, and it was like maybe $15, and I was like, oh, big deal. I got to go to the bathroom and go to Starbucks. It was only $15. I thought, the whole lesson.
I was going to say, how expensive was that sandwich and coffee that you picked up?
Probably about the same.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. That's funny. Yeah.
It's understanding of how God's viewing you and watching you as because you don't, God sees everything you do. You're not separate. He knows every single thing you think, that you do, every thought, every feeling, because you're one and the same.
Yeah.
And so you cannot hide anything, nothing. And on some level, because when people start working on themselves, you're afraid to feel vulnerable. People hate feeling vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
When they get in front of God, that's what starts to happen, is that all your vulnerability starts to come out. But God knows everything that you're vulnerable about and loves you, loves all of you, the whole being, the whole self, the all the little idiosyncrasies, all of everything that you judge yourself for.
Yes.
And to know that, you're just cute. And then when you're having some really difficult moments, you have arms wrapped around you that you can't even see, that are just pouring so much love into you.
Oh yes, yeah, because we're never alone. Even when we feel desperately alone, we are never alone. We're never alone.
It's not possible.
No.
Just not.
And there's God and angels and your guides and we're never alone. All we have to do is remember that and come into that inner conversation. Help me help myself. Help me to help myself. And and also they are there, guys. They're there to really hear and listen and take it all of it, all the descriptions, all the thoughts, the feelings, the words, the emotions, the anger, the angst, sorrow, all of it, and the joy, all the whole full spectrum of what we are, who we are.
Yeah, and to experience that with us, to celebrate with us, to help us heal from things that we believe are hurtful to us. It's really spectacular, the support that is given, and trusting it. And that is each one of our journey, is to go in and trust this. So I have one more talking point, but it's a big one. When you can learn to lean on me and trust that I'm always guiding you, is when you can let go of control and find peace. For that is what being in balance means. When you can let go and be in peace, you are brought back into the balance that you always are. My energy is always peaceful. When you try to take control of your life without being centered in my peace is when it feels hard. You feel alone, and at times it feels chaotic. Stop judging every moment as good, bad, right, or wrong. Rather accept what is, and peace will come. Any action that can be taken is then out of being centered in me and my divine truth. So that's some of the things that we've been talking about, that you brought up, of just be. Just let it be, and you will know the right thing to do at that moment. And how much we actually make our life harder, because we don't want to trust anything outside of ourselves or inside of ourselves that is there as protection for us.
And you said about chaos. Chaos is a messenger. Mm-hmm. Chaos is a messenger. If you have chaos in your life, I'm speaking from experience. If you have chaos in your life, it is a messenger that for you to stop, look, and listen. Mm-hmm. So you can take action
Mhm.
to bring your life, yourself and your life into a harmonious, balanced place.
Mhm.
Chaos is a messenger because somewhere a part of us is still saying, I need to live in chaos.
Mhm. There is a part of us that is constantly recreating the chaos that we had at home because it is a vibration, it's a memory. And that memory keeps wanting to vibrate that same pattern over and over and over again. That's all that it is. That's what that ego voice is just this helper to clear out the confusion from other parts of your life, the younger parts of your life that you don't understand, that you didn't heal. And so that vibration is just a repetitive, I call it recidivism. It just goes around and around and around. And it is for you to finally look at it and say, why do I keep getting visited by this thing again? Why do I keep feeling, why does something inside of me want me to keep feeling that vibration, that story over and over and over again? And over time, you start to realize that that's what is going on, and I no longer have to feed into it. However, we know that when we see chaos, as you're saying, it's a messenger, it is an opportunity for peace to come. Because what comes after the chaos goes back into balance. And when you're in chaos in your own mind, then you create it out into your reality. So if you have that mind, and I know that, for me, that voice is constantly always trying to drag me back into that chaos, that victim consciousness. And I have to be so diligent about not feeding into it because it's not real.
And because it's something we're familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that familiarity, and so it's you got to work. It takes some action. It takes some work to, like you were saying. It's like, wait a minute, I don't have to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't, and then exactly when you come into that awareness that you are creating your own reality.
Mm-hmm.
You are in co-creation
Mm-hmm.
with God, and you can stop the chaos.
Right. And it's all from the perception of, am I listening and agreeing? What am I getting in agreement with? Am I getting in agreement with God, or am I getting in agreement with this voice? And if I'm constantly getting in agreement with this voice, my life is going to be a mess on the outside. So everything is a mirror of your internal dynamic. So as, and the more time you spend going inside and learning this, because you get taught truth from within. You learn what truth is. You learn what you're seeing and how inaccurate our senses are based on divine truth. That you have to start seeing with your knowingness what you're being told versus your senses.
Yeah.
So what's really interesting is that we are always in energetic balance. Always. That never ever changes because God is always energetic balance. But because of the experience that we have, we feel that we go out of balance, okay? Because we keep listening to that voice, or something happens and it triggers us, or this happens and we say, oh, that shouldn't happen. I don't like that. Or something great happens and then I'm overjoyed. So we're constantly moving out of, in our mind, out of knowing the balance that is always there. And that's why when we return home, it's always the same. It's always peaceful.
Right.
We just believe we're going out of balance. And it feels real. It feels really real. And that's why we do all of these different ways to help ourselves regain balance. That's what your sound healing is returning home. It's like, okay, you just kind of went in one of those rooms again and believe that you have lost your balance, your peace, when that's not true, but it feels like it. And I now can go to you and have some sound healing that puts me back into balance, or go to this person and they do this. Or you meditate and you bring yourself back into balance. But not everybody wants to do the inner work. And so all the gifts that are out there, like yours, like mine, like lots of other people that we're seeing, is to help people, remind them that what is inside of them.
Help remind them, you know, because that's really what it's about. It's remembering. When you walk down that path, you start to remember who you are, you really can't stop. You really can't stop. Once you're on it, you're on it. And maybe you can step off for a while, but something will always bring you back. Something will always call you back home inside yourself once you have touched into that incredible, tremendous light that you are.
Yeah. We have Myers Bartlett on with us, and she says it is quite the challenge to get out of the chaos once it is created on the physical plane. I'm trying, and it is so easy to get overwhelmed. I remind myself I did not get into this overnight, but sometimes I wonder if I will ever create the serenity I am able to achieve on the inside, on the outside. Right now, they are not in alignment. And Myers, we've all been there. And we get back in that place again as we keep walking down this journey. It's such a, thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful, of what it's like to be in the process of understanding how this works. So if you take this and look at the fact that you're never out of balance, you just feel like you are, and you that is always being created inside of you, because that's what creation is. Creation is in balance. It's in divine order always. And it is an ego thought that tells you that you are not in balance. That's an ego thought. And I've written down all my ego thoughts because I had to go, oh, it's that one again. Oh, that's right. That's an ego thought. I'm not supposed to listen to that. I had to make a list of all the thoughts that I had that kept dragging me back into believing that that's true. So the more that, and so we start second guessing ourselves, because the ego now, that voice, is telling us we're out of control, we're not in alignment, and I promise you, you are never, ever, ever out of alignment. You cannot be out of alignment. But the ego tells you that you are. And we believe it. And that's what creates the chaos.
And then when you're, let me see, when you're witnessing, when you wake up and you look around, it's like, look at this chaos, and I'm part of co-creating this. I've been creating this. We can't, it's a matter of some choices to literally remove yourself out of it. And sometimes it takes some scary choices. It takes you to walk away from people, walk away from jobs, walk away from people, walk away from family, walk away from where you live, and start fresh and anew. Mm-hmm. And it is very scary to do that. Mm-hmm. And that then is asking, that is then creation. That's God asking you to really go into a place of trust, because something within is coming to that place of, I cannot do this anymore. Mm-hmm.
if you are in a situation that is dangerous or chaotic or that it's not safe, that's a whole other thing. But most of the chaos we create is within our own self because of how we're perceiving something. We can perceive something very differently and it completely shifts the energy. And so it's what we're assigning to what we're perceiving. So unless you go inside and you say, okay, help me see this differently, and what is the action that I need to take to help myself right now? What is going to be in my highest good? And that's where you start to understand, do I need to make a choice to leave or go somewhere else? Or is it that I need to do better at the way I'm perceiving things, and that I bring love to my perception versus fear into my perception, or that I'm responsible for things that I'm not responsible for. So Myers says, she calls it the ego grip. And yes, I know the ego grip, we all do very well. And really this whole journey is not allowing that to have a grip on you anymore because it's an illusion. But we've all bought into it. We all drank the Kool-Aid. We all believe what we've been hearing, that voice, for so long because it started at the beginning. It started with us and we've listened to it all our life. And so when you can say, I don't have to listen to that. I know I'm only divine perfection. And I am always in alignment. I don't care what that voice is telling me. My life is perfect. It's joyful. Can I allow myself to see it and receive it and stop listening to that voice that's telling me otherwise? So she's thanking us for all the wisdom that we've both brought. You're very welcome, and we need to get in touch with you because I haven't talked to her in a long time, and she's a absolutely amazing person who also channels beautiful divine messages. So yeah, the process is what it is. This is what we came here to do, is master our internal world and understand how we transmute energy to be in love all the time, as that's what we are.
Yes.
Yeah. So Niobe, yeah, she's saying, can I allow for the experience? Yes, we have to allow for the experience. And like John the Baptist says, make it fun. Make it something to laugh at instead of taking it so serious all the time. Our heart is supposed to be really light because that's what your divine nature is. And we do have moments of where our hearts feel so heavy as we go through this experience, but it's keep returning back to the lightness of knowing who we are.
And in doing that, what we're doing then is whatever is coming to inside, but whatever is maybe coming around on the outside, then we're letting it be. Yeah. Because that thing of letting it go, but no, let it be. Because a lot of times it's none of our business.
Right?
Let it be.
Just let it be and just allow it. The more you don't allow the experience, you get into energetic resistance, and that feels really crappy inside. When you get into energetic, like, no, I don't want this to happen and this should not be happening. When you start going there, you are now creating such energetic chaos inside of you, which I call cognitive dissonance, because part of you knows and wants to say everything's okay, just let it be, allow it, it is what it is. And the other part of you is saying, no, I need to do something about it. I'm changing this, right? And you're doing it from the wrong, you're not doing it from a centered heart space, you're doing it from wanting to control things.
Right.
So yeah, we don't want to get in that space. So Niobe, thank you for this awesome show and sharing all of your wisdom with us.
Oh, thank you, Deb. This is a wonderful show. This is a wonderful idea that you've been guided to bring to people, and I've enjoyed it so very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And I'm very grateful to provide this and to have you here. Can you please tell people how to get in touch with you?
You can find me on Facebook at Songlight Niobe Weaver or niobeweaver.com. And email is niobe@niobeweaver.com.
Well, please check out Niobe's work because it is absolutely beautiful. And you have CDs. You don't talk much about your CDs, but you have a beautiful voice, and I think people should know about them.
Thank you. Thank you. There's on my website are links to 3 of my CDs. I have 4 other CDs that I just got packaged up and the artwork and everything's completed. I need to get them on my website. And also there's something new that I'm doing, something new that I just started, and it's a Facebook group. It's called Soul Song Tribe. And if you would like to be a part of this, we're going down that journey, that inquiry, that investigation about your soul song, about what is your inner voice saying to you? What is it, a whisper, or is it something really out loud? And that's what Soul Song Tribe's about, is we are looking about allowing that soul song, that voice, that whatever is being called to you to come out, to help guide you into how it can help manifest it if I can help you bring it out into the world. So Soul Song Tribe on Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you. And we have more shows coming up later at 9 o'clock. We have Chanting for Change with Terry Angel and Karen Palmer on Enlightened World Network. And then at 10 o'clock, people will get to listen to a meditation today again with Sweet Dreams Restream. And I'm just also want to give a reminder that Saturday, this Saturday, which is August 1st, at 2 o'clock p.m., I'll be doing a master class on understanding your energy, learning how to balance it, and staying in alignment, because we do need tools to bring us back home again and understand the oneness of the vibration that we're always in. So if you'd like to check that out, you can sign up and register at enlightenedworld.online. And so I'm so happy to share this space with all of you, and wishing you an amazing evening or day, whatever time it is where you are. And we say goodbye for now, knowing that we are one love, protected and held in divine order by our Creator. Go out this day in this awareness and allow God's peace and joy to occupy every thought. Lead with your heart and welcome everyone home, for all are loved. God bless you and have a wonderful day.